Sorry, girl, I gotta go. Yeah, you know this ain't the old me. Try to keep it on the low. So we should probably just be homies. Yes, I gotta.
I'm Frederica Whitfield in for Kate Baldwin. Thanks so much for joining me. Right now, we are getting a brand new update on the path and the strength of Hurricane Dorian, the powerful storm that looks like it is headed straight towards Florida. The National Hurricane Center has just issued its latest advisory, and at the moment, all signs point to this being a major hurricane. The entire state of Florida is on alert as Dorian approaches. The governor has already declared a state of emergency, and stores are reporting empty shelves as residents stock up on food, water, and medical supplies. Let's get straight to the new forecast. CNN's Chad Myers joins us right now. Chad, what are you seeing?
I'm afraid, Fred, that it isn't good. Now we're up to a Category 4 hurricane, a low end 4, but irrelevant, 130 miles per hour. That's Sunday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. Here's Labor Day morning, 8 o'clock, still a Category 4, 130 miles per hour. The cone anywhere from about Key Biscayne on up, still into the Jacksonville area possible because of the possible turn that this could make as it gets closer to the shore. It is going to slow down for sure. This is 24 hours, literally from the coast to Orlando in 24 hours. You could probably walk there in 24 hours, and that's the heavy rain potential all the way through the entire peninsula of Florida, because this will not be a compact storm when it gets there. It has 96 hours to gain strength in very warm water. We're now seeing the Hurricane Hunter aircraft fly through it at 89 miles per hour at the surface, slightly higher at flight level. So what else has been here in the past? There's Dorian, there's Francis, Irma, Jean, Hugo, all of those passing within about 60 nautical miles of where we are right now. The American model taking it farther to the north, closer to the Space Coast. The European model taking it farther down to the south, not quite to Miami-Dade certainly, but then turning it up toward the right and up the peninsula of Florida. I think the Hurricane Center is kind of taking somewhere down the middle of what the true consensus of the models, because there are many others out there. The true consensus of the model is where they're putting their new cone out there. It's an impressive looking storm. It's too far away to show you on radar because the only closest radar would be Puerto Rico, and now that would be above its radar beam. Fred.
Oh boy. All right. Thanks so much, Chad. We'll check back with you as needed. So people across Florida are preparing for the worst as Hurricane Dorian approaches. CNN's Nick Valencia is in Daytona Beach. So Nick, what are you seeing there? How are people preparing?
It is beautiful today, Frederica, Daytona Beach, another typical day here, but this is not expected to last. This weekend will be disrupted by what is expected to be a major Category 4 storm, and people here seem to be taking the warning seriously. The governor just gave a press conference a little while ago reminding people that there was about 10 years that Florida did not take a direct hit from a hurricane, but out of the last 4 years, they've been impacted by 5 major storms. I mentioned people are taking it seriously. We're already starting to see those long lines at the gas station. We're seeing people filling up their sandbags as well as gathering plywood to board up either their businesses or their residences. This is going to be a very serious thing, and that's what officials are stressing to anyone that lives up and down the East Coast, especially of Florida. Right now, it's not quite clear where this will make direct landfall, but officials are being very clear and direct. If you live anywhere along the East Coast of Florida, you need to be ready for anything to happen. Frederica?
Of course. All right, Nick Valencia, thank you so much. I'm joined now by the mayor of West Palm Beach, Florida, Mayor Keith James. Mayor James, good to see you. So you could be facing a direct hit from a Category 4, possibly hurricane. What are you most concerned about right now?
Well, our primary concerns certainly are the lives of our residents, and we are hoping for the best, but we're preparing for the worst. And we have been encouraging people, even since yesterday, to get prepared, get water, get gas, get cash out of the ATMs. And the more we hear about this storm, it sounds like this is a serious one.
The governor, DeSantis, put out a statement, in fact, saying every Floridian should have 7 days of food, water, and medicine. Are you confident that people will be doing that? Because we know there is always a problem with complacency when there's a threat of an incoming storm.
We are cautiously optimistic that people are heeding the advice. This is not our first rodeo, if you will, with storms. Francis and Jean hit us a few years ago around the same time of year. We as a city prepare for hurricanes all year round. We have an emergency operations center that is at level 2 activation, and I believe that our citizens will heed the warning. We're encouraging people, understand what your evacuation zones are, and if you are advised to evacuate, evacuate.
Okay, and thus far, where are we on evacuations?
We haven't finished that determination yet. We're continuing to monitor the track of the storm so that we can get a better idea. But probably by tomorrow morning, we will have a specific idea as to which of those zones we should be evacuating.
You were a city commissioner when Hurricane Irma hit in 2017. Is there something you learned from that experience that you want to apply here?
Well, I think what I learned is that, unfortunately, the worst is after the storm. We are concerned about flooding. We're concerned about winds. We're concerned about rain. But a lot of times the worst is after the storm, where people are without power. And we hope that people have enough food. Folks are living in shelters. And sometimes it takes a while to get back up and going. And so we hope that people will be patient with the process. But that is what I learned, is that a lot of times the real difficulties of these storms is not during the storm, it's the aftermath.
Right. And usually among the most vulnerable, homeless people, the elderly, what do you do, or what special preparations are being made for them?
We have shelters. We're opening shelters. If people have special needs, they have to register for those shelters. Another lesson that we learned back from Irma in 2017 is how vulnerable some of these assisted living homes are and nursing homes. We are already sending out teams of police and fire to check on those facilities now. To make sure that they have generators in place in case of an outage. We don't want a repeat of some of the horror stories, and I'm sure you heard from other communities in 2017 where folks literally died from heat exposure. So we're trying to anticipate, prepare for that now, and sending people out to talk with the owners of the facilities to make sure that they are prepared for what will be a tremendous catastrophe, probably.
All right, Mayor Keith James of West Palm Beach, Florida, we wish you the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your interest in our communities.
Just before the break, mandatory evacuations are now being ordered for parts of Brevard County. They affect those who live on the barrier islands, including areas from the Kennedy Space Center south to the beaches and Merritt Island. Also being told to evacuate people in mobile homes or manufactured housing or in flood-prone areas and those with special medical needs. And again, Dorian was just upgraded to a Category 4 hurricane. So let's go right back to Tom Sater. Tom, give us the latest on that.
Not a big surprise, John. At the top of the hour, mentioned at the 8 p.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center that we saw the greatest drop in pressure from any advisory to the next. It's a 20 millibar drop. What that means is when that pressure drops significantly, it takes a while for the winds then to pick up. It's just getting stronger. Yesterday at this hour, it was a Category 1. Expecting to go to 2 at 11 p.m., and it did. That means in a 24-hour period, we have now jumped from a Category 1 hurricane to a Category 4. This is amazing. Could it get to a 5? Yes, it can, and most likely will now. When you look at a well-defined eye like this, and we've got, we're still over 500 miles away from, let's say, the coast of Florida, we've got a lot more warmer water to contend with. I mean, we go from the mid-80s to the upper 80s, and that's significant. Now, when you look at this track, I want to point out a few things. Here we are currently at a Category 4. Then notice how it goes to 3, then back to 4. This is going to be a new track in 2 hours. So what they're showing us here is still the older track, but what it is currently. So at about 11 p.m., we're going to get a new track from the National Hurricane Center, and it's going to be interesting to see. Are we going to see a 5 moving into the area? A couple things to just recap this 8 p.m. advisory, what does this tell us? First and foremost, all of Florida is still in that cone of uncertainty. As this storm now continues to build, those strong winds, hurricane winds and tropical storm force winds, will continue to expand. So that storm not only will look larger on a satellite imagery, those winds will be wider and stronger. So everyone is still involved here. The other thing to look at is when we get in closer, we're looking at a slow process of heavy, heavy, heavy rainfall. Again, saturated ground. They can't take much. It's like trying to pour water into an empty bucket. Well, now this bucket is full, and we're going to drop a dump truck on top of it. The other thing, we still have the possibility of this thing sliding off the coast and edging to the east. But one last thing. It is going to make landfall right now as a Category 4. Here's the definition of Category 4. Catastrophic damage will occur. Well-built frame homes can sustain severe damage with loss of most of roof structures and some exterior walls. Power could be out for weeks or months, and most of the area will be uninhabitable for weeks.
As we began reporting last night, Floridians are certainly taking this one seriously. The governor has asked for and received a pledge of federal disaster assistance. Highway express lanes are being reconfigured to help evacuations go more smoothly. And, of course, people have been boarding up and stocking up. Randy Kay has been seeing it all day. She joins us now from a Home Depot in West Palm Beach. Randy, tell me, what's it been like there today? Are people doing what they need to do?
They certainly seem to be. It's been incredibly busy here actually since Tuesday. That's when it all started. That's when they put Florida on that hurricane map. So people have been pouring in trying to get their supplies. But I just spoke to one of the employees here at this Home Depot, and he told me that they have done a week's worth of business today in just one day. So really now it's coming down to the wire for these folks. Floridians have been through this. They know how to prepare. What they're looking for right now, it seems tonight, mainly is plywood, John. Let me just show you what the shelves look like over here. They're empty. You see those shelves there? That's usually plywood stacked all the way up. And then if you come over here to this side, in this aisle, this is what's going on. Plywood has now just come in. A truck has just delivered it. And they're not even bothering to put it on the shelves because it goes so fast. If you pan over here, you can see these shelves are empty too. And then keep panning, and there's the line of folks waiting to get plywood. That's how busy this is. They're also looking for tarps, flashlights, propane, batteries, generators. Of course, they are out of generators here. Luckily, they're not out of plywood. Another thing that people are told is to have at least 3 to 7 days worth of water. They want 1 gallon per person for every 3 days here in the state of Florida. That is what's ideal. They don't have any water here, and they don't expect to have any water in this store for at least another day or so. So that is the situation here, John. I went to some other big supply stores yesterday trying to get water for our crew as we are preparing for the hurricane, and I could get a few bottles. I went at 7 a.m. again this morning trying to get more water. There was already a line at this supermarket, and most of the water was already gone, John.
Hopefully they'll get more shipments in. Randy, for the people you've been speaking with, do they plan to leave the coast or ride the storm out at home?
A lot of folks are riding the storm out because, you just looked at those models, those spaghetti models. It's unclear where this storm is going to hit. So people are saying, well, if I live on the coast and then I go inland, what if it hits inland? So they just don't know where to go because right now the whole state is in danger, all 67 counties. They've declared a state of emergency. So, I know I spoke to my neighbors. They're riding out the storm on a high floor in a high-rise building. My brother who lives here in Florida riding out the storm with his family. Most of these folks getting plywood also riding out the storm with their families. In fact, we ran into this gentleman here, Carlos Tamayo, who's also riding out the storm. Is this your plywood right here?
This is our plywood, yeah.
And you came back for more, or is this all you need?
We had planned this about 4 or 5 days ago, but we ran about 4 or 5 sheets short. So we just came by, and we're just grateful they had plywood.
Yeah, so you planned in advance. You were already doing your home. And you're going to ride out the storm and be around with your family? You're not going to leave the state? Or?
Well, I work as a firefighter along with my son, so we're both going to be on duty starting tomorrow. But the idea behind it is to leave our families secure, so we're kind of used to it. We've been doing it for a while. So.
How many hurricanes have you been through here?
I guess going back to Katrina was probably the worst of it. We rode that one out. We weren't hit quite as bad during Katrina because we were further north. But
I should mention there is no evacuation order in place, so you have the freedom to ride it out.
Yes, I'm very secure in our home and everything we've done, the preparations. My family will be okay, and I know that we got to go out and do what we have to do to help everybody else's families during the storm.
So many people, John, as I said, riding it out. I mean, you look at this line, just one more quick pan. They're all here to get plywood to board up their homes so they can stay home and be safe as they do so. So we will continue to watch it here at Home Depot, and hopefully they won't run out of plywood tonight.
Wow, feels
John,
like the center of the universe tonight there, Randy. But as you said, the problem with evacuations, it's not clear where it would even be safe to go at this point. They have to wait for the forecast to be updated. Randy Kay, thank you so much.